You will own nothing, and you will be happy. Man, I couldn't believe it when I saw this story. Kids to explore eating bugs to gauge appetite for alternative protein. Well, I'll tell you this, Ian and I explored alternative protein. We ordered cricket flour, and we made a bread with it. Suffice it to say, it was not delicious. But if I had to eat it, I'd eat it. I'll tell you this, man, when there's no food, you're going to enjoy eating the bugs because you will have no choice. Now, for this segment, I was torn between a story about some guy pleading guilty to wanting to bomb a Democrat office, which was shocking, or the continued collapse of our supply chain and economy. And I got to be honest, it was a difficult choice. The challenge with this segment is that there's just too much. I didn't know what to talk about. Violence, perhaps? Well, the thing about the violence segment is that there's actually big developments politically around Sussman, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, Peter Navarro, and I thought that angle all goes together. And civilizational collapse, we've got many stories. Joe Biden says job growth may diminish by 2/3 as economy transitions to a period of stable growth. Stable growth, he says. Okay, let me spell it out for you. With the COVID lockdown, the suspension of our economy, the economy tanked. It did not recover fully. It is now going to diminish once again and not recover fully. It has been stunted. We have gas prices through the roof, fuel shortages underway. So when I tell you that they are going to have children eat bugs, this is a trial for all of us and for you. So I hope you are prepared to eat the bugs because you will own nothing and you will be happy. You know, I made this point last night. I tweeted about it. Have you noticed that everyone is moving towards subscriptions? I tweeted about that because I went to the movies, and at the movie theater, it said subscribe to the movie theater and see unlimited movies every month, $21 or something like that. It might have been 14, maybe it was 21. And I just thought, man, that why would you subscribe to the movies? How often do you go to the movies? I go to the movies like once every few months. But then I thought about the subscription model. Everything's going subscription. People are growing accustomed to owning nothing, and they'll be happy. We used to own music. We used to buy CDs, and then everything went digital. Then people would buy MP3s. Now you just spend $5-10 a month for your online streaming music service, and you just get access to the entirety of the library. Interesting, isn't it? People are growing accustomed to having a monthly deduction from their account in exchange for the services as they see fit, as opposed to point-by-point sales. I don't know if that means anything. Maybe it's a natural phenomenon because subscriptions are a lot better. You can budget better. I mean, we do subscriptions at timcast.com. We don't charge you per members only video you want to watch. We just say subscribe and we'll put all the content up there. But I think we're heading to a place where you will own nothing and you will be happy. Here's the story from metro.co.uk, and then we'll get into all of the crisis stuff, the fuel shortage, the lack of food. School children are used to eating hot dinners such as fish and chips, spaghetti, bolognese, and lasagna. But children at 4 primary schools in Wales are set to take part in workshops organized by scientists and teachers to inform them about the benefits of eating alternative protein, like bugs. These will include plant-based foods and may involve edible insects, depending on whether they have received novel food approval by the Food Standards Agency. These will be in the form of conventional mints, which combine plant-based alternative protein. A study in the Journal of Cleaner Production found insect farms emit 75% less carbon than poultry farms. As people in the UK look towards more sustainable diets, doubters of an insect-based diet will be pleased to know edible bugs are rich in protein, antioxidants, vitamins, and other nutrients. The project starts this week and aims to better understand children's understanding of alternative proteins. It will use surveys, workshops, interviews, and focus groups to explore this. Researchers have teamed up with teachers and hope that 4 to 11-year-olds will be willing to try just some of the more exotic foods. Look at this. The diet is already popular across many countries in Europe. Yes, everybody's doing it. Don't you remember when everyone was eating the locusts? Don't you want to pluck a bug off the side of your garage and just pop it in your mouth? I would strongly recommend against that. I saw a story once of this dude who on a dare ate a slug. Haha, it was funny. I think he like dropped it in his beer and then chugged it or something like that. Yeah, he died. He got a parasite. I think the parasite went into his brain and he didn't realize, and no one knew why he was sick. And then he died. I think he became like sickly and paralytic first, and then the parasite killed him. Or maybe it just paralyzed him. I'm not sure. Maybe he didn't die. So you don't want to be eating bugs off the ground. When the whole cicada thing was going on, there was a restaurant not too far away from where we are here in the tri-state, the Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia area, where this guy was serving cicada tacos, and everyone was like, this is so great, and they were eating them. And then someone filmed him showing how he prepared it, and he went outside and was just plucking the bugs off the side of his building and then frying them. And what was it, like the FDA or something said, or maybe it was the USDA, I don't know, you can't just serve bugs off the ground to people at your restaurant. Sorry, you're not allowed to do that. They got to get it normalized, and they know it's very, very difficult. So here we go. Although edible insects are, for now, not sold widely in the UK, they form part of the diet of around 2 billion people worldwide. Yes, 2 billion poor people. So what they're saying is you will own nothing and you will be happy. But perhaps you're saying, Tim, this will not happen here. How could we have a culture that enjoys the finer cuisines? Well, I believe you're incorrect. We've seen the spiking fertilizer costs. You're like, I'm not going to eat the bugs. I'll just eat the vegetables. Maybe there won't be any. Maybe we won't have any vegetables. Maybe you're going to have to eat the bugs. So let me give a shout out to the sponsor of today's segment, safeandreadymeals.com. Head over to safeandreadymeals.com, pick up an emergency food supply if you think this is important for you. I'm not a big fan, personally, of doing a lot of promos for emergency food, but considering you know what, guys, it was really difficult to decide on what was the lead story for this segment. Is it the major fuel shortage that's coming and the lack of diesel and the spiking prices that will result in a food shortage and crisis? Is it the lack of fertilizer from the war? Is the banning of Russian oil? Or is it the fact that children are eating bugs? I had to go with the kids eating bugs one, I guess. But I'm just looking at all these stories, and we've already had food shortages. We've got a local sports bar out here. Well, I shouldn't call it local, but it's a small chain. And I went there a few months ago and ordered wings. And I was politely informed they didn't have any. I said, sorry, we don't have chicken wings. And then I said, why? And they said, well, there's a shortage. It's like, what do you mean there's a shortage? Like, well, there's, I think, what was a story I just, is it this one right here? Tens of thousands of chickens killed in Wright County egg farm fire. Well, it's just tens of thousands, yes, but there were also millions of chickens that were culled due to disease. Head over to safeandreadymeals.com if you would like an emergency food supply. They store for up to 25 years. You put them in your closet. You forget about them. I have a ton. I recently bought a ton more. People always yell, Tim, don't tell anybody you have any. Oh, okay, yeah, I don't know, man. We also have security. But I bought this stuff, so I genuinely think it is fair to shout it out. Now, I want to give a shout out to all of my good friends, the naysayers, the urban liberals, who don't garden, don't farm, don't have chickens, and mock the idea of having emergency food. This I just do not understand. We got chickens over in Chicken City. We got a bunch of them. They lay eggs every day. We eat them. It's great. Now, we're giving the chickens feed. You buy the layer feed or whatever. But you can also just give them bugs. You put wood on the ground, planks, and then every day you pick them up and the chickens run and eat all the bugs. You let them graze in a field for a little while, and they basically collect little bugs and grass and other vegetables that, like plants and clover or whatever they eat, and they make eggs for you every day. That's fantastic. Who are these people in these cities who are like, everything's fine, you got nothing to worry about? This is what is truly shocking to me. Have you seen enough yet? I'm not telling you have to buy this. I'm just saying I have some. I recommend it. And when you buy from Safe and Ready Meals, you're helping support the work we do here. But let me show you more. Joe Biden says job growth may be diminished by 2/3 as economy transitions. Is that what he's calling it? A transition. Fuel prices are already at record highs. I don't know what will happen. I mean, it is funny that you see California, Illinois, and New York have it the worst. West Virginia is fairly neutral, but man, $4.68 to $4.43 in West Virginia, and Maryland. That's what we're dealing with. Pennsylvania is a little bit higher. In Illinois, it's over $6. In New York, not over $6. It's between $4.80 and $6. This is, oh man, it's getting crazy. I think it was end of 2020. We were in New Jersey. That's where we had our studio, in South Jersey. And when the COVID lockdown stuff happened, we started talking about how do we get out of here? So I was looking at buying a facility for expanding the business in New Jersey. I was like, come on, we got to do something. New Jersey, you can do this. Millennials were leaving like crazy. Well, New Jersey was a bad idea in the first place. But I was trying to stay close enough to big, East Coast cities so that, for industry purposes. We ultimately decided to come out to Western Maryland, West Virginia area. And this was because the lockdowns had gotten so serious that we were like, we shouldn't be here anymore. And we were intending on heading down here. Once we got everything set up, we had no internet. We had just we had like 10 megabits up or something really low. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to come out anyway. And we had to do some recon to see if we would be able to do Timcast IRL here. And so we built a studio very quickly over a weekend, and we came out to get away from basically everything falling apart. It has been 2 years since the beginning of this crisis, and it has not improved, which is what is the most shocking thing to me, is that we're now being told from the New York Post, U.S. summer fuel shortages could be worse than the 1970s oil crisis. It's funny when, I'll make some hypothetical prediction, if so-and-so does X, then we might see Y. We could actually see a 50-state landslide for Trump if X, Y, and Z. And for sure, maybe a little hyperbolic, maybe way off, that's fine. But when you live in 2 years of crisis, I don't understand how there are people in cities who are telling me I'm crazy for promoting safeandreadymeals.com. That's their mockery. They're like, oh, how the mighty have fallen, Tim Pool not promoting emergency food supply. I didn't come out as a prepper when things were going fine. When the economy was booming, I wasn't like, you never know. But I mean, even then, you'd been better off. If I was doing promos for Safe and Ready Meals in 2019 with the booming economy, you would have gotten it way cheaper. You'd have more buying power on your dollar, and it lasts 25 years. That's what really freaks me out. That's why I bought a whole bunch. Because I'm thinking, you know what? The worst case scenario is you eat it. It lasts for 25 years. Well, I should say the worst case economic scenario for you is that you made a mistake. But the real worst case scenario is, we're dealing with major fuel and food shortages. Do you know what you're going to eat? Are you going to eat the bugs? The New York Post reports the United States and Europe could experience fuel shortages this summer that could be worse than the 1970s oil crisis. When the main holiday season starts in Europe and the U.S., fuel demand will rise. Then we could see shortages, for example, in diesel, petrol, or kerosene, particularly in Europe. Do you know what a diesel shortage means? You do. I think most of you get this. It means everything else is going to explode. Everything else is going to become extremely rare and extremely expensive. In California, they're talking about diesel at $10. They're talking about shortages. Where are the drivers? We have a truck driver shortage. We have a fuel shortage. We are dealing with food shortages, and we already saw it during COVID. Now it's expected to get worse. Byroll said that the current energy crisis could be worse and longer lasting than the shocks of the 1970s. Back then, it was just about oil. Now we have an oil crisis, a gas crisis, and an electricity crisis simultaneously. Oil prices spiked sharply as a result of the outbreak of the Yom Kippur War in 1973, as well as the Islamic Revolution in Iran in 1979. I heard some stories about farms where the government is coming in in Western United States and paying farmers not to farm and paying them to set up solar plants, solar panels. Made me wonder, why would they do that? Well, we need food. Maybe we're a bit gluttonous and we don't need as much food. Maybe they know the energy crisis is going to get bad. And if we don't start producing energy here, we're in trouble. If that were the case, however, why would they be setting up solar plants and not removing restrictions on oil production? Then it makes you wonder. The people who have power right now, the Democrats, these are the people of climate change. These are the people who believe that carbon emissions are destroying the planet and that we need to do something about it. These are the people who believe there are too many people on the planet and we need to reduce population growth. Do you genuinely believe that Bill Gates is satisfied by saying we should have slow population growth? Or is it more likely that what Bill Gates is really saying is that we should have population recession because there are too many people? If these people truly believe this, then it makes sense. Joe Biden comes in and enacts policy that destroys the economy, harming growth so that people can't have kids, targeting the fuel and oil industry. Now prices are skyrocketing. And you look at what these people promote outside of this. Sterilizing kids. The economy is in crisis. They're producing solar farms. I don't have a problem with the solar farms, to be honest. I do have a problem with them destroying the lives of individuals in this misguided attempt at saving the world. I thought about this deeply. If the world really was headed towards catastrophe, implosion, I asked this of Alex Jones, actually. I said, what if they're right, Alex? What if carbon emissions are getting worse and worse? What if the planet is on the verge of collapse and we are but yeast in a bottle farting ourselves to death? And Alex said, I know. I think about that all the time. Even Alex Jones contemplating what if they are right and we need hard authoritarianism to stop what's happening. The problem is, what if they're wrong? That's right. What if they're wrong? It's really easy to say, we should have some smarter, better men ruling everything and telling us to eat the bugs and taking away our fuel so that we don't destroy ourselves. But what if they're wrong? Why should we believe they're right? As far as I can tell, it's a coin toss as to whether they're right or wrong. They don't know. They think they're right, but they could be wrong. So what if they end up destroying people's lives for nothing? And therein lies the challenge. I suppose then there is no legitimate answer other than pick your side. Do you believe in individual liberties and freedoms in the hope that a decentralized civilization can solve these problems? Or do you believe the despots are right and that we are headed towards a crash of epic, monumental proportions that we cannot stop? I choose decentralization every time. But I've thought about it. I'm like, man, maybe you do just need people who can see the big picture to come in and be like, if you don't stop, we are doomed. But I think there's a difference between us and yeast. I believe that humans have continually innovated themselves out of these crises. And what we're seeing now is a man-made crisis in an effort to manipulate. Joe Biden shut down Keystone Pipeline. Why? Climate change. Joe Biden enacted new oil regulations. Climate change. This is not a secret. It's not a conspiracy theory. They're overtly saying these things. So let me break it down for those. I'm sure there's some liberals saying, well, these are good things then. I didn't say they were bad things. I'm saying I just don't trust that they have the answers right. And I would prefer decentralization. But perhaps they are. Maybe. The fact remains. Our economy was hurt. Our energy sector was hurt because of people like Joe Biden and their zealotry towards climate change. It's a fact. So when you are asking yourselves, why do I have to eat bugs? Why can't I fill up my gas tank? It is because Democrats fear climate change. That is not saying they're wrong to fear it. They may be right. If you don't agree, well, then you should vote against it. If you do agree, then congratulations. Stop complaining. But this is where we are headed. What does the EU oil ban mean for gas prices? It means it's going to get worse. Finally, because of the war with Russia and Ukraine, the EU says they're going to be banning some gas coming from Russia. Gazprom is already cutting off gas supplies to the Netherlands. Now, this doesn't stop ground-based. It's only, I believe, water-based, only delivered by sea, not pipeline. Okay, so only delivered by sea. I wonder why. Is this sea pipeline? No, not pipeline oil. I wonder if what they're doing is just shutting down freighters. Big, massive vehicles that consume insane amounts of energy to transport all these goods. I wonder. The metaverse seems like a good bet if you believe these people will win. I don't know if they'll win outright, but I do believe we are seeing cultural changes, like I mentioned with subscriptions. I do believe that we are going to see more and more people start changing their lives. I believe COVID forced this change. So maybe they never let a good crisis go to waste. Maybe we're in the rat hope experiment. They lock us down from COVID. Everyone loses their minds. They riot. And then the lockdowns ease up. But now maybe they bring them back in different ways for different reasons. Businesses get shut down, but this time people are used to the changes. I don't know for sure. I cannot see the future, nor could I read minds. But I can tell you that chicken farms are, well, this one's burnt down, but many of them are culling their chickens due to chicken flu. They mention specifically in this article about eating bugs that bugs produce less carbon emissions than poultry farms. Surprise, surprise. Now they've got to cull all these chickens. I heard a story from one farmer who said the government came to him and said they were going to pay him to kill all his chickens. And he said, but my chickens aren't sick. And they said, we don't care. We're worried they will get sick, so kill them all. I don't know if he ultimately took the deal. So my friends, maybe emergency food, maybe not, right? But perhaps you will eat the bugs and you will be happy, along with owning nothing. Maybe one day you'll go into your backyard, flip over a stone, and smile at the delicious bounty that is the centipedes and crickets that you'll be forced to eat. I don't know, man. But they're trying it. And the fuel shortage is coming. August will be intense. Do what you got to do, or whatever. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.